Hi, my dear students. I am Professor Muhammad Masood Ahmad. Welcome to my legal classes. Uh, now I'm discussing about the subject history of courts, legislatures, and legal profession in India. This is the subject we have for 5 years of LLB, that is LLB, BA LLB, BCom LLB, and BBA LLB for the affiliated colleges of Usmania University, Hyderabad. As I've told you, the title of the subject is History of Courts, Legislature and Legal Profession in India. As I have been explaining the student, whenever you go for the new course or the new subject, you are supposed to have the thorough knowledge about the syllabus. It is not only the units and chapters available and whatever topics are available, and these topics and chapters focusing on which area, and then you are supposed to know the interrelationship or interconnectivity among the chapters and units. So how these chapters and units are connected to each other. So let us go for the discussion first, and then we will go for the analysis. The unit number one. The unit number one, history of courts, legislatures and legal profession in India. Under this, the unit number one, it is about the courts. That is administration of justice in the presidency towns, year 1600 to 1773, and the development of courts and judicial institutions under the East India Company, Warren Hastings Plan of 1772, and the Adalat system of courts. Reforms made under the Plan of 1774 and recognition in 1780, Regulating Act of 1773, the Supreme Court at Calcutta, its composition, power and functions, and failure of court. Act of 1781, Supreme Court, Mufassil Courts, Judicial Measures of Cornwallis, 1787, 1790, 1793. Progress of Adalat system under Sir John Shore. This unit number one focusing on history of courts right from 1600. The period it is 1600, and after that we have other the regulations and reforms under this unit. Basically, it is focusing on history of courts, how the courts and judicial system in India started. Usually, it is started in the year 1600 when we have the charter for East India Company. So that is the beginning and initiation of history of courts. This is unit number one. Let us go to the unit number two. Unit number two, Indian High Court Acts 1861, conflicts arising out of the dual judicial system, tendency for amalgamation of the two systems of court, the Indian High Courts Act 1911, the Government of India Act 1915, High Courts under the Government of India Act 1935, High Courts under the Indian Constitution, development of rule of law, separation of powers, independence of judiciary, Judicial Committee of Privy Council as a court of appeal to hear the appeals from Indian decisions, abolition of the jurisdiction of the Privy Council to hear appeals from Indian decisions. So this is about the unit number two. So this unit number two, as the unit number one, where we had the focus on history of courts, unit number two also deals with the history of courts. As the title of the subject, we have the history of courts, legislature and legal profession in India. So three aspects we have. One is history of court, second one is legislature, and third one is legal profession in India. So the unit number 1 and unit number 2, it deals with the first aspect of the subject, that is the history of courts. Now let us go for the unit number 3. Unit number 3, legislature, legislative authority of the East India Company under the Charter of Queen Elizabeth 1600. Changes under the Regulating Act 1773, Act of 1781, Act of 1813, Act of 1833, establishment of legislature of an All India Charter in 1834. So this unit number 3, exclusively deals with the legislature. So it means the unit number 3 has got the direct focus on legislature. So this we should remember. Now let us see what happens in the next unit, that is unit number 4. Unit number 4 of this subject, the Indian Council Act 1861, Central Legislative Council and its composition, powers and functions, Government of India Act of 1900, Government of India Act of 1919, setting up of bicameral system of legislature at the center in place of imperial council consisting of one house. The Government of India Act 1935, the Federal Assembly and the Council of States, its composition, powers and functions, Legislative Assembly in the province, law reforms and law commission. So this this unit number 4, the main focus, it is on legislature as we had in unit number 3. So if you see, the first two units dealing with the history of courts, and the second two units, that is the unit number 3 and unit number 4, that deals with the second aspect of the subject, that is the legislature. Okay, now let us go to the last, that is the 5th unit of the syllabus. The 5th unit of syllabus, which is the last one, legal profession, that is the legal profession in pre-British India, principles in ancient Indian system, law practitioners in the Mays Court established under the Charter of 1726, organization of legal profession under the Charter of 1874, provision for enrollment of advocates, wakils and attorneys under the legal provisions under the Legal Practitioners Act 1853 up to Educates Act 1960. So these are the enactments are covered under the last unit, that is unit number 5. The unit name is legal profession. So the last unit is focusing on legal profession in India. That is the last aspect, third aspect of the syllabus of this subject. Okay, now let us talk about the analysis of the subject. Before that, these are the readings, prescribed book, the reference book given by the university in the list. So these books can be followed and referred to cover the syllabus, that is the history of court, legislature and legal profession in India. So these are the total 9 books. So now let us go to the division of syllabus. We are dividing the syllabus like this. The reforms and regulations have been covered under this syllabus. So what type of reforms? Reforms and regulation mostly we have in unit number 1 and unit number 2. Like Warren Hastings Plan of 1772, reforms made under the Plan of 1774 and recognition in 1780, Regulating Act of 1773. Then judicial measures of Cornwallis 1787, 1790 and 1793. Judicial Committee of Privy Councils as a court of appeal to hear the appeals from the Indian decisions. The next one, under this analysis of the syllabus, the Charter of Queen Elizabeth 1600, changes under the Regulating Act 1773, Act of 1781, Act of 1813, Act of 1833, establishment of Legislature of All India chart, chart All India character in 1834. That is the legislature of an All India character in 1834. Now, let us see the second part. We are dividing the syllabus in the part 2. Under part 2, we have these enactment, the central enactments we have. That is the first one, the Indian Council Act 1861 will be covering in the syllabus. The second enactment, it is the Government of India Act 1900. Then third one, Government of India Act 1991, the Government of India Act 1935, India High Courts Act 1861. So these are the enactments we have in the part 2. We are dividing. See, in the syllabus it is not given. In our analysis, we are dividing the syllabus into the part 1 where we have the reforms and regulations, and the part 2 we have these are the acts. Then let us go. Acts have been covered here. This is the part 3. Part 3, legal profession and practice. Legal profession in pre-British India. Principles in ancient Indian system. So this is dealing with the legal profession in India. The part 3, basically we are taking from the last unit, that is the 5th unit. So law practitioners in the Mays Code established under the Charter of 1726. Organization of the legal profession under the Charter of 1874. Legal Practitioners Act 1853. Advocates Act 1960. So this is about the syllabus. This is about the syllabus of we have the history of court, legislature, and legal profession in India. So in this subject, this is the basic subject for the law graduate, whether it is the Usmania University or any other university in India, where the students are supposed to have the orientation and insights about how the courts have started in India. So its evaluation and historical background. So that is there from last, I can say it is more than 400 years, because we have started the concept from the 1600. Right from the East India Company. So as we have the 5 units, so first 2 units deals with the history of court, and second 2 units deals with the legislature, and the last 5th unit it deals with the legal profession in India. Student, as I mentioned you that whenever you go for the coverage of syllabus for the examination point of view, or you want to know the concept of history of courts, legislature, and legal profession in India for your professional activity after completion of this LLB course. So for that, I think this historical background is, I think, essential for you, whether it is writing exam or doing the practice and all. So my dear student, I hope that you could follow the syllabus and its analysis. Thank you. All the best. Thank you.